Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first season of The Mandalorian. So, I'm home, if you can't tell. Those of you who subscribe to my channel know that I was just studying abroad in London for 4 months, which was the best experience of my life. It was absolutely incredible, but I did not have access to Disney Plus until I got home because it's not available until March for people in the UK. So I got a lot of things in the beginning of the season spoiled for me, specifically Baby Yoda. And regardless, I was very excited to come home and to watch everything on Disney Plus, not just this show. But it was a long time coming. Like, the anticipation was building for a long time, especially because I not only love Pedro Pascal, but I love Jon Favreau, and I absolutely adore all of his movies. He's one of my favorite directors. He's one of my favorite people in Hollywood in general. He just seems like a great guy. I don't know. And he's directed some of my favorite movies. So I was very excited to watch this new Star Wars show. I was excited to see his take on Star Wars. And I had, again, a lot of anticipation. And a lot of anticipation to see, like, what the heck was going on with Baby Yoda, who is referred to as the child because it's technically not Yoda, because this takes place after the original trilogy. It's just the same species as Yoda. So that was, like, I was kind of confused when I first started watching it, but then I caught on. I was like, oh, this isn't actually Yoda. But it's very interesting to see that this child is also a Force user. I'm going to keep referring to it as Baby Yoda because I feel like we all know it as Baby Yoda. It's become a meme apparently, but I have, again, tried to avoid it. And yeah, so I'm very excited to talk about this show. There will be spoilers in this review. So I'm going to go maybe the first 5 minutes without, or two, I don't know. I'm going to go for a little bit without spoiling anything. And then I'll let you know when the spoilers begin, so then you can click away if you have not yet seen The Mandalorian. But if you have seen it, then you can watch this entire video. And if you have seen Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, you can check out my spoiler and non-spoiler reviews, which are finally up. I'm sorry that they're a week late, but I saw the movie the night before I was leaving London, and so on top of the stress of trying to leave and then getting home and the time change and all of that mess, my laptop was also freaking out and not letting me put anything onto my, like, upload anything onto my laptop. So it was a mess. So, but they're finally up. So please go support those videos because I'm sad that they're up so late, and I apologize. But finally, I got to be here in time to catch up and then watch the final episode as it came out today. So I'm very excited to talk about The Mandalorian. I loved it. I thought it was so interesting, and there was so much to talk about that I didn't expect to see in the show. I wasn't sure what to expect from the show, because I know that the Mandalorians never removed their masks. I know that, like, I didn't know Boba Fett was always a silent character, and I didn't know how much audio, like dialogue we were gonna get from this protagonist, but I was at first it was weird when he was talking, and then I was pleasantly surprised. But it makes sense because he's a protagonist. But I was very excited to see what they were going to do with this property and with a character like a Mandalorian, because they're so interesting. And I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans have always wanted something like this. My dad always said that the most interesting character in Star Wars was Boba Fett. And so I think he would love this show, and I really wanted to watch it. But yeah, okay, so getting to learn more about Mandalorians and getting to see one in action, and one that I believe is, like, and it's not even really up for debate, is, like, purely good at heart. So that was really cool. And to see how different things he does, how he can be conflicted, or how where the pull is between his duty as a Mandalorian versus where the line is drawn between, like, do you operate with the, like, to put it simply, like, the good or the bad, the light or the dark, the Imperial forces or the rebels, like, what, where does being a Mandalorian, like, where does the moral lie, like, it's really cool. So I really enjoyed seeing that aspect. And then actually, one of my favorite things from the show was the music. I'm pretty sure it was done by Ludwig Göransson. I'm totally pronouncing that wrong. I don't think I am actually, but he's done some other things that I think he's very talented. He did Black Panther. That he won the Oscar for Black Panther too. That was an amazing score. But I love the heavy use of the themes in this show because that do 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 do, that whole like theme, which is so strong and it plays so much in the show. I was telling my dad that I think there are a few things that Star Wars does really well. And in the midst of all of this do we love it, do we hate it thing with Star Wars, which I love it personally, but I think some things that they do so well, they should not sacrifice. One of them is very prominent scores. The John Williams themes have been, like, you just hear and you know it's Star Wars. Whether it be the Star Wars suite, the theme, or the Imperial March, and then with this new trilogy, Rey's theme, and then you know like the theme that comes with the Force, that like melody that comes along with it, like those things are so prominent, and I think Star Wars does a very good job of playing off of that, and I really think that that's something they should always have. And I think The Mandalorian does an amazing job of capitalizing off of its score and really using it as a character theme. It is incredible. At first I was like, wow, they're really digging deep with this thing. And now I'm like, I want to hear it, play the theme. And it's like, it was very well done. And I really, really liked the music in this show so much. And I think it had the level of a score that a film would have, and that was very impressive, and I very much liked it. Another thing that was at the same level, I should probably talk about what the other things that Star Wars does really well. I think the rarity of seeing a Star Wars film is something that helped it be so successful, and something that I think they really need to take a step back and consider. Because the reason The Force Awakens did so well is because it was so long since we got an episode film, specifically an episode film with our favorite trinity of characters, Leia, Luke, and Han. And that build-up, that anticipation, that, oh my god, Star Wars is back, that thing, that helped it do so well. And I think Star Wars really needs to play into that. I think that needs to be their marketing strategy. They need to focus on that when it comes to releasing movies. And having recently the episode films like every other year, and then having Rogue One and Solo in between the episode films. I loved Rogue One. I would not sacrifice that movie. But now they have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and then they've been boosting up the advertisements. They've had all the video games, which are amazing, and the animated shows, and they've had now The Mandalorian and the Obi-Wan project that's coming up. And as great as it is, it's a lot of exposure for Star Wars. And I think they really, now that the episode films are done, they really need to take a step back and to focus on building the hype like they used to, because that's why it did so well. And I think there's getting a little bit of fatigue because people would maybe see one of the Star Wars films that came out recently, and if they didn't like it, they're like, Star Wars is not doing so well, and so they would stop going to the movies to see it, which I know is how a lot of my family operates. So I think Star Wars needs to focus on being rare and being something that is like truly an event when it comes back. And I think that them taking a step back from episode films and from films in general would be very wise, and I think they should really just focus on The Mandalorian and some of their other projects that are on a smaller scale that can keep people interested, but that aren't so big they draw world attention. But I think The Mandalorian is like a very, very strong show, especially when it comes to repairing the legacy and the reputation of Star Wars, because I know it's very iffy right now. I loved The Mandalorian. I thought it was very strong. I loved the cinematography in particular, which was absolutely beautiful. So many money shots, so many things that I'd just put on my wall. And I thought that was very strong as well. Now, I'm going to talk about spoilers from here on out. So if you have not seen The Mandalorian yet, please come back when you have seen it. Pause this video, put it in your watch later, do all that. Okay, so now, spoilers. Okay, so as far as the cast goes, I loved Cara Cynthia Dune, I'm pretty sure is how you say her name. Gina Carano played her. I loved her. She was so strong. And honestly, if I was a kid, I would have gotten her as an action figure. Like, I could just picture her as an action figure. I'm sure there's already one out. She was so cool. I really hope that she becomes a regular for future seasons, because I not only love seeing her in action, but I love seeing her and the Mandalorian team up. So I don't know if I should refer him as the Mandalorian or like Din or Pedro Pascal or Mando. I think maybe Mando. I'll go with Mando from here on out. But I really thought she was a very strong character, and I was very impressed. I also loved Quill. I think that's how they pronounce it. Quill. Loved him. Like, I was so sad when he died, and I was very bummed out because that was the last episode in my little catch-up process I was going through. So I was so bummed. I like freaked out last night. I was like, no, because I loved him. I was like, oh, this is perfect. He's gonna be one of those characters that like reoccurs through the seasons just to like help Mando out. That was very upsetting. I was so sad that he died. But it's like that sequence was done so well. That I actually looked to see who the director of that was. It was very good. The directors of this were very strong. I know that Dave Filoni, I think he directed the first episode, but he's responsible for Star Wars Rebels and I think the Clone Wars as well. And he is amazing. Like, Dave Filoni, I think we can all, like all Star Wars fans, recognize him as a great person to have in the industry making Star Wars content. He's very good. I was very pleased to see that he was working on this show with Jon Favreau, and I thought his episode was quite good. I very much loved Bryce Dallas Howard's episode. I thought that was really cute. Like, I loved seeing the little villagers, and I loved how Mando's morals were really highlighted as like a good person who's willing to do these things for people. I'm very glad they didn't remove his helmet in that episode, and I loved that we got introduced to Cara Cynthia Dune in that episode as well. The prisoner, Rick Famuyiwa. I'm so sorry. That I just completely butchered that. But The Prisoner, Chapter 6, The Prisoner, that was a very well directed episode when the lights were flashing and Mando was like coming up behind the guy. That was so good. Oh, Dave Filoni directed a few of these. He directed the first one and he directed Chapter 5, The Gunslinger, which is also a good episode. And I loved how they were on Tatooine. That was so cool. Amy Sedaris as Peli Motto. Loved her. She was so sweet. I loved her. I really enjoyed that episode. My favorite episodes were maybe Chapter 2, definitely Chapter 4. I liked Chapter 6, but we all knew it was gonna happen. And then Chapters 7 and 8, but I think 8 was the best episode. Very good all around. Actually, Chapter 7 was quite good as well. It was just very well done, and Taika Waititi's directing in this final episode was also very well done. And I almost forgot to mention, and I do not know how I forgot to mention this, the Darksaber at the end. That was so cool. We are getting fed with lightsaber colors right now. Oh, I love the black. Looks so cool though. It looks so cool. So that's amazing. And the fighting, I think, was specifically quite good in Taika Waititi's episode. I think Mando's fighting when he first got out, and then Mando's fighting in Chapter 6 as well. Because at some points I was like, he's not that good of a fighter. And then something like Chapter 6 would happen, and I'd be like, oh, he's a very good fighter. But it was cool to see how he was tested in different ways. And I thought the entire cast did an amazing job. And obviously, specifically Pedro Pascal was absolutely fantastic. I was kind of bummed they removed the helmet in this season because I really didn't want them to, but I'm glad that it was removed only for a droid, and the droid ended up dying. So no one alive has seen his face, and that's cool. So I'm okay with that. And then as far as the child, aka Baby Yoda, I'm very glad it was a puppet. My cousins and I were talking about it at Christmas, and he said that they would be cowards if they used CGI instead of puppeteering, which honestly, true, because I think that's another thing that Star Wars capitalizes on well, and I think that Harry Potter has kind of lost, but I think practical effects are a huge thing that should never be overlooked, especially in Star Wars, because that's a great way to balance the digital special effects throughout the entire film. It's a way to ground them in reality. It's by having something like a puppet instead of a CGI Baby Yoda. And it was so cute. And I'm so excited to see it grow up and get super powerful. But like, it's already 50 years old. When is it gonna start getting old enough to... Because like, wouldn't Mando just get old by the time the child is like maybe in its teenage years? I don't know. So we'll see. But I loved how the influence of the child brought out a different side of The Mandalorian, and it was just very, very cool to see. Again, I loved seeing the morals get tested and pushed, and that happened throughout the season, and it was really cool and very interesting, and I'm obsessed with Mando. Like, he's so cool, and I really love the armor. I love getting to learn about the mythology of these characters, like how they melted down their reward money into armor, and the sigil, and just everything, like, and how he got like the jetpack thing at the end. I think they called it the Phoenix. It is so cool, and the armor looks so cool. So I hope we never get to a point where he's not wearing it, because I mean, it'd be cool, I think, to see him fight like one time without the armor, but because he relies pretty heavily on it in some cases, like not getting shot, like shots from guns not killing him because he's wearing the armor. But I mean, it is very cool. The armor looks very cool, and I'm excited to see how it continues to get utilized throughout the seasons. But this first season I thought was incredibly strong. I really liked it. I thought Pedro Pascal is doing a fantastic job. He's really killing it. Like, he's really doing an amazing job. And I'm very, very excited to just see where his character goes. It's very exciting, and I want more episodes. I'm kind of sad that everyone else got to watch this week by week, and so it was kind of like a Netflix binge watch situation where you watch it and then you run out and you have to wait months. That's kind of what I'm going through right now. So that's a shame, but I really hope that, I know that there's definitely going to be a season 2, right? So I hope that there's just more, like more than just season 2 is what I mean. I want there to be many more seasons. So I love it. And it's so cool to see Star Wars in the form of a show that's live action. And you get to see so much about the Star Wars universe on a more personal, like, nitty-gritty level that you didn't get to see in the movies. And I love that. Like, I love getting to see stuff like that. I love it. Okay, so I loved The Mandalorian. Please let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the show. What do you think about the fact that he was demasked? What do you think about Baby Yoda? What do you think about all of it? Who's your favorite character that's not Mando? What's your favorite episode, and who do you think was the best director for the show? And how do you think Jon Favreau is handling the Star Wars content? And what do you think of Disney Plus, too? This is my first Disney Plus show that I'm getting to review. I love it. There's some things that they could tune up and fix a little bit, but overall I think it's really good. It's really mimicked other streaming platforms, specifically Netflix. But I'm excited to see how much new content continues to get added, because I'm already drowning in how much content there is. It's amazing, but it's great. And I can't wait to see all, like, more original shows getting produced from Disney Plus, because so far the 2 original shows that I've seen, I've really liked. Again, let me know in the comments down below all of your thoughts. Subscribe if you want to see more of my coverage going forward for The Mandalorian. Maybe I'll cosplay as him. We'll see. I would love to continue talking about this with you guys. So again, please subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. You can follow me on social media. Links in the description box down below if you want to see more day-to-day updates about how I feel about movies that I've seen if I don't get the chance to review them, or how I feel about media news that's dropping if I don't get the chance to make a video about it. So stuff like that is very frequent in my Twitter, and I also touch on things on my Instagram. So you can follow the links down below to do that. And yeah, Have a good day, everyone. Bye.